Guys, as promised, I returned today with video about the housing problems affecting the US young people. So, young people in the United States are currently facing what experts describe as a cursed nesting doll of housing difficulties. This crisis is defined by a severe lack of affordable inventory, rising costs that outpace wages, and a significant shift in generational milestones. So let's talk about it. First of all, the key barriers to housing. The first one, affordability versus income. So the home prices and rents have surged far faster than wages. Between 2010 and 2022, for example, the ratio of median house price to median income rose from 4.5 to 5.8. So, of course, the income couldn't keep pace with the median house price. Then we have high mortgage rates. After decades of low rates, the jump to approximately 7% has more than doubled, typically monthly payments on new loans. Of course, the elephant in the room is the inventory shortage. So the USA is short of about 4 to 8 million homes, depending who you ask. Many current homeowners are staying put to keep their older, low-interest mortgages, which locks the market for first-time buyers. And obviously, the financial burdens. So, young adults are frequently squeezed by high student loan debt, rising grocery cost, transportation costs, now with the oil price increase, and limited credit histories, making it difficult to qualify for traditional rentals or mortgages. So, if they can't afford a house, what is the impact on young generation, young people? The housing crisis has forced many young Americans to alter their life trajectories, either by living with parents, so roughly 1 in 3 young adults ages 18 to 34 now live with their parents to avoid high rents. For Gen Z specifically, this rate has tripled compared to millennials at the same age. So I was a millennial and I stayed with my folks until 28. At 28, I was fortunate enough to get my own apartment, but that's still old if you ask me. Then delayed milestones. So the median age for a first time home buyer has risen to 38, up from 31 just a decade ago. So as I was saying, I managed to do it at 28. It was the 31st decade ago. Now I was maybe 1.5 decades ago, but still. So now it's 38. That's really high. And many report delaying starting families or making risky investments as a last resort. And of course, there are severe hardships. So, among those who struggle with payments, 34% have sacrificed vacations or going out, while 50% of Gen Zers have skipped meals to afford housing. Then, if we speak about vulnerable population and homelessness, the housing instability is not felt equally, of course, and certain groups are obviously at a much higher risk. The systemic homelessness, we have an estimated 4.2 million young people who experience homelessness each year. Incredible, this figure, 4.2 million. Then the high risk groups, certain minorities have 100% greater risk of homelessness than their peers. And obviously, the family conflict, which remains the most common reason why young people enter homelessness or they just leave their parents' house. There are, in theory, some available assistance resources, but not too much, as the Covenant House for emergency shelter, the Section 8 vouchers, which is typically not accepted by many landlords and such. No, big problem is rent. So the rental cost in major US cities have reached historic highs. If we look at certain so if we take a look, for example, at the US Chamber of Commerce page, um, they mentioned that a severe shortage of over 4.5 million homes that has created cascaded economics and social challenges from skyrocketing prices to reduced workforce mobility. And of course, if we look at the rental costs in major US cities, they have reached historic heights, with national average rent hitting approximately $1,700 US dollars as early of 2026. While coastal hubs remain the most expensive, there's still a significant surge occurring in Midwestern and mid-sized cities as young professionals migrate in search of relative affordability, right? So, of course, there's an importance of housing to the American economy because this is not an issue only for home buyers and renters. It's a significant burden on the broader economy, and I think here they really hit the nail on the head. So it's not just a personal problem for the young people involved, but it has repercussion towards the entire economy. If we speak about the most expensive rental markets in 2026, we can mention California and the Northeast, where single renters in these areas often spend over 40%, even getting to 60% of their income for just a studio or one bedroom apartment. And typically, people prefer to share housing or rooms with a colleague. So some examples, I found the statistics over the internet. San Francisco, California, about 3,800 USD for a studio or one bedroom apartment. New York, very close, 3,700. Boston, 3,500. Miami, Florida, a bit more affordable, if we can call that affordable, with 2,100 USD. And then we also have the fast growing spillover cities. So many cities previously considered affordable are seeing steep year-over-year percentage increase as supply failed to meet new demand because it's logical, right? So if people can stay in one place since it's getting more and more expensive, they tend to move closer to that. But that also drives the cost of that area higher and higher because of the increased demand and limited supply. So we can mention here New York, New Jersey, over 8% annual increase. Cleveland, Ohio, with rents over 7%. And we're speaking about Ohio. So, yeah. Then Colombia with over 6% jump, with average rents surpassing $1,500. And Louisville, which was cited as one of the fast-growing markets for renters due to a severe shortage of available apartments. And another problem here is the single-family home. So many areas don't have sufficient multifamily homes, like block of apartments. If you have one plot of land, which is expensive, and you just build a single family home, obviously the price for that will be higher than just building a flat, an apartment building. If we speak about the rent to income gap, then the financial experts at least generally recommend spending no more than 30% of income on housing, which proves to be difficult and close to impossible in certain cities. So, for example, in New York City's renters often face more than 40% rent to income ratio, and For example, for single women, this can also climb to over 70% for a studio. So if you pay like 70% of your income for housing, then how can you live with the rest? Los Angeles is close behind with about 40% of their monthly income on rent. And overall, nearly all 50 largest US cities, a full-time minimum wage worker cannot afford a typical one-bedroom rental without being severely cost burdened. Now, if we look the market trends for 2026, it only gets worse. We have smaller units and higher price hikes. So studios and one-bedroom apartments are projected to see the highest growth rates, over 5%, as more and more individuals choose to live alone and can no longer afford the larger spaces. So yeah, that's definitely a problem, and we can see if the Trump administration can do something about it. Thank you for your attention to this topic.